Okay. So we can start out with anything that you two have noticed or experimented with or questions or anything like that that has come up. So um, go ahead, Michelle.
Okay. I'm on my exercise ball, so if I seem extra fidgety, that's what I'm doing. But I can move
Okay.
to my desk chair. I'm very tired. So I'm trying
Um,
to stay awake. But so my horse had her foal since we met. So she had a little colt.
oh,
So I watched the video from the last one in April, and I've been playing around with the 5 different energies, which has been fun, and it's been fun to do with him
oh,
also. So like that's been like a whole new realm, which like I hadn't had really done any of them other than like safety and control and or safety and neutral. So like I played around with Joy and like he seemed to really like that one. So that's been pretty fun. He's a month old.
oh,
So that was neat. So I've been just practicing that and learning how to set really good boundaries with Colt because this is new for me. The youngest horse I'd ever worked with is like 2 years old. So this is
wow.
all new, but so fun. Thankfully, I have Colleen's my trainer, so she helps me, and
Oh,
that's
good.
great.
Oh,
So
good.
I guess no questions, but that's what I've been doing is just training a colt. So
Wow.
Oh,
That sounds so much fun. I miss those days. Oh my gosh. You'll have to
it's
send pictures of or post pictures on our
sure, yes, I can send them in the email too. I can send y'all some
yeah, that would
cute
be
little.
you
awesome.
should. I've never played with a colt before. That sounds
Oh,
very cute, but very interesting.
it,
Yes, he's a little feisty. We've he tried to bite me like 5 times yesterday, so we had to work really hard on. He uh is very curious and wants all the attention and doesn't like it when his mom gets any attention.
uh-oh.
So yes, so hence the him trying to bite me 5 times yesterday because he wanted attention that he was not getting. So we've
Oh,
practiced sharing. He wants to be the only child, I think, and just wants you to pet him all day, which is a good problem to have. I'd
yeah,
rather him be that than feral, I guess.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. Absolutely. So I'll tell you a funny story about boundaries with a cult that my neighbor had. It was
oh
pretty
yes,
funny.
please. And yeah, any tips or anything with that, I will gladly take.
All right. Yeah, we'll talk because we haven't really talked about how I do boundaries, have we?
No.
No,
Oh, well, let's do that.
I
I
would
like
love
to have
boundaries.
these where
Oh,
it
good.
it's
I don't want to derail it.
I kind of plan something, but then whatever you guys need, we'll talk about that thing. So I'm gonna write down boundaries here, and we can kind of touch on that. And I think it's really good whether you have an old horse, a young horse, or some any in between, because boundaries seem to be one of the biggest things that I encounter out there as far as how do you establish them and what do you do? So let's that would be a fun one. Okay, so Lisa, anything new and exciting?
Oh, just what I emailed you about Luna, and I don't know if it's all coincidence sake, but yeah, we went into the breathing, and I think I opened up Pandora's box because she wasn't taking it well, and I don't think I noticed that at first. I was just assuming she was having a bad day, but didn't put it down to the breathing. But I think I gave her an opportunity to say something, and she had a lot of no's to tell me about. She fell into a fence a few months ago, and I thought she had recovered from it, but I got a lot of no's, and I think it was a lot of pain responses once I started coincidentally or all due to the breathing, all happened at the same time. And she started biting. And I've always had issues with boundaries with her, which is why boundaries are awesome. And my boundaries get a bit lax. I know I need to learn how to maintain them as well. But yeah, she started biting. I've fixed up the pain. We had some body workers out, and I've done a lot of work with her.
Okay.
And I've just kind of slowed down on the breathing part with her because I think it might have been, I don't know if it can be all too much to just race into, which I usually go head first into things a bit too quickly. So I've slowed down and
Okay.
we've just kind of done a little bit more of, I make sure I do my own breathing and figure I'll work with her on her breathing. And that's why I kind of was like, maybe I need a private session to look into this a bit more with her directly.
Okay. And I'm going to go and I'm going to send you I'll send you guys the whole length of the session that I did with this one horse, but it had to do with a similar thing. Like, what will happen if you do the breathing? All the trauma will come to the surface. If they have trauma, it's going to come up and it's going to show, and they're going to say, here's what it is. And we're going to watch a little bit about that with a horse here in one of the videos that I share. But don't don't be afraid of that. It's like it's coming up, but we're going to go through some additional questions that I ask horses that will help you give you like a preview of what we're probably going to do with Luna in a session so that you kind of get an idea of how I approach this when I start breathing. There's lots of horses that go, I can't do it because I'm holding my trauma and this is making me uncomfortable and I got to be vulnerable. And they're going to lash out sometimes a little bit. But I have a series of questions that were going to be follow-up questions to help them explore their trauma, release it, and figure out how to do some emotional regulation and find their inner balance point internally.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we'll only be able to touch on that tonight because I think this, I have the 4 questions I call them. There could be a whole course that would be over a month's or more time. Because you're going to open up, if you think of Pandora's box, there's going to be even more. But I'm going to show you 2 horses tonight that I did a little bit of the 4 questions and some of the things that showed up there so you can see how they react. So, all right. This is going to be fun. We don't have enough time. It could go forever. Okay, Rihanna. We're just talking about anything that's happened or anything you want to share since we met last time. I don't know if she hears me.
I think she might be frozen.
I think she's frozen. Oh no. I hope she can hear. We'll just kind of hold on here and let her come on. And I think what I'll do is launch into, let's talk a little bit about the boundaries here. And again, this would be one that is a lot easier to see in person, but I'm going to give you my general overall method of what I do to set a boundary. So we're working in that energetic realm here where I do very little about touching the horses. For whatever I teach them, I'm going to be minimizing the amount of time that I'm touching them or doing some kind of a technique to get them to do boundaries. Because most of the time, like what I learned about boundaries from natural horsemanship was you jiggle the rope, they get in your space, you got to do all this stuff, get them out of your space, then they're supposed to stay over there. But what I've noticed in all the work that I've done, everybody does that, but the boundaries are still being breached.
Mm-hmm.
Or the horse shuts down outside the boundary and doesn't interact. It just kind of goes below. Okay, well, you beat on me. Okay, I'll stay out here. And so you're actually kind of eroding your relationship with the horse by doing that. So either you do the reaction thing where you jiggle the rope, and energetically what that does is it stops the energy and it creates a brace in the horse. Or it disrupts the energy, I should say. So any of the movements that we're doing that are big like that, there's going to be a reaction on the other end. I don't like having a brace because they're going to have to brace because they're going to know they're going to get in trouble, right? So they're going to brace in their body. Now what I do with the brace? Now it's there, and every time I pick up the rope, there's going to be at least a little bit of brace in that horse, expecting something coming from us. So here's how I do the boundaries. The safest way to start is if you stand shoulder to shoulder, like your shoulder next to their shoulder. And I usually start with a horse that doesn't respect boundaries, let's say. I'm going to make sure it's like a arm's distance that I start. And I'm going to face forward, and the horse is going to be facing forward. Okay. I'm not going to change my position. If the horse starts to turn, I'm going to just turn a little pirouette, always turning to the outside. I'm going to just tell you all the things I do. I put him on a rope. Doesn't matter what kind of halter you have. And I let the lead rope come down and I give him some slack. And then I take the rope and I lock it across, like the rope goes across my body here, and then I lock it here on this hip. So the rope's going here, horse is over here. This hand does not do any jerking. It does no corrections. Okay. So what we're going to do with this hand here, it's going to be defining our space if the horse starts to come in. So here's how it goes. I got my position, rope on my hip, horse has some slack, he's standing over here. And I'm going to, first off, I'm going to tell him what my boundaries are. This is one of the biggest things that I see in horsemanship is nobody ever tells the horse what the boundary is. Then all of a sudden the horse is in a space and they feel like they're backing up or the horse is right there. But there was never any communication about what was the expectation. What was the horse supposed to do? If you don't set a boundary, there is none. My boundary is going to be set in my mind. I'm going to imagine this kind of a space around me, however you want to imagine it. I kind of imagine it like a cylinder, and I'm saying, this is my space. It goes all the way around me, around my back, around the front, however much I want, up a high, if I have a Frisian, because they come in through the top, goes around the back side of me. That's step one. I need to establish the boundary and tell them what the boundary, here's my space. Now, how do we not get them all like on the brace if they come into the space? What I'm going to do with this hand is I'm going to breathe as I bring it up. I'm going to be paying attention to the horse over here. And I'm going to notice when he's coming into the space, like almost at the boundary of my imaginary jetting boundary here. And I'm going to come up with my hand and meet him at the place he's coming in. And notice that my hand is going backwards. It's not like this, because this means you did something wrong and I'm going to correct you. If I go up and I go this and their head hits right, or their nose or whatever hits right there, that's saying, I'm a wall, you just hit the wall. I'm completely neutral. I say, you got this. And I make my picture again. This is my space. My space. Okay, so the horse gets frustrated because they haven't had boundaries before and they try to get in again. They might try to go in the back. I call it the back door. They could try coming in the top, over the top of your head. They could try to get you out of position. They could try to come in the front down here or down at my feet down at the basement. They're going to they're going to check every space where they think they could get into your space. And I'm like, the answer is always the same. I breathe. You got this. And what this means is this area from here to here is my space. That's what that means. So my hand here energetically is saying I'm claiming this. Because remember, if you try to push somebody away, it's like this, right?
Right.
So I'm not going to push them away. If they're coming in, if they're pushing on it, I'm just going to be like a rock solid. I'm just breathing and I'm holding that space wherever their head goes. And I'm just staying neutral. I'm not moving around a lot. Because what they'll try to do for a boundary infringement is also try to move you out of your space. The only thing I'll do with that rope around my hip like this, they're coming in over here, I'm just going to turn this way. I'm always turning away from them, but here's my space. You can play with this with the horses and, if you want to, I'll see if I have a video with me doing that. It seems like I did one recently at a gathering. I'm going to see. It doesn't seem to make sense because, we've been taught you've got to correct them and everything. No, every time they come in, it's like, this is my space. I don't get angry. I just reestablish. It's always the same answer when you come in. You're not getting in the space. And what I see people do is they'll start with the boundary out here, and then the horse pushes on it and they just go like this, and pretty soon their boundary is right there. And then they try to push it back. No, you got to hold it. And in your mind, this is my boundary. I'm not angry about it. I'm just making a statement and I'm breathing. Okay. So really important with young horses, the colts, and this is the funny story I have about boundaries with a young horse, is we were doing that, and he would get like all excited. He wanted to be right up to you, but then when he got up here, he got overstimulated, and then he starts biting, so it's like, okay, you can be with us, but this is where you need to be. Okay, arm's length away. And he kept doing the boundary, trying to push it, and it wasn't working for him. And then he'd get mad and he'd run over to his mom and he'd jump on her and start biting her. And then she didn't do it. She didn't have any boundaries. It was so interesting. So, he kept trying. He'd come back over, it's like, I'm coming over and I'm going to get in. It'd be like, I got a sweet face, but as soon as I get in, I'm going to bite you. And it's like, here's our boundaries. We're happy if you stay over there. We're going to have a conversation. Everything's good, but you don't get to be in here and be touching me and biting me. Okay. And so he was getting frustrated, and, same thing. Then finally I told the mayor, it's like, you know what? You don't have to put up with that. Just tell him nicely he can't use you as a biting post either. She was a surrogate mayor, so I think she kind of, there's some interesting things with that energetically, but yeah, it was like, I have this really expensive foal and I'm just a grade mayor, and there was some of that going on. But I told her, it's like, you can stand up to him, just be nice, just tell him that you pick your boundaries too. So all of a sudden, next time he hits the boundary here and he goes over to jump on the mare, she just does a nice little boundary thing, and he's like, ah! You could just see him, like, he goes up to the fence and turns his back to us, and I can see him over there like, I don't know what to do. I can't get in. And so this is the funniest thing. I could see the wheel spinning. It's like, I literally drew a line in the dirt that kind of gave us a visual. It's like, you can come up to the line, and that's it. Okay. So he comes up to the line, and his head's starting to go over the line a little bit. And I'm like, just nice, remember? And he's like, and then he turns around and backs his back end and his back feet up to the line. And he stands there for a minute. He kind of looks back at us like, I can get in another way. And he takes his one back foot and puts it over the line. He just sticks one and sticks it right out. And I go, and then he goes, oh. So he was all frustrated, but then finally he decided, like, I could just stay here. And then he calmed down. I think, like, people, oftentimes when we set a boundary and maybe we haven't had one, they try to push it, right? And so they'll keep trying. So your statement is always the same, protect your space and make it real clear. What I found with horses is they'll try it for a little bit, and then they finally go, whoa, you are a leader. I'll just stay out here and respect your boundaries. And once they get to that point, which usually happens within 10 or 15 minutes at a gathering, I don't usually have them trying for very long, where they figure out, oh, I can't get in anywhere. Up here, around the back, down feet, I can't get in. And then they go, okay, cool. After they get to that place where they'll respect my boundary when I make it in my mind very clear, I can change that boundary. Okay, so sometimes if they're very soft and they're very gentle, my boundary may be right here. If they're not respectful, their boundary's going to be out there. And then there's times when we're doing training where the boundaries are going to be fluid, where sometimes you're close here, sometimes you're far away. So it's really up to us, I think, to set this tone, especially when you've got the young horse, is that I make a decision and I don't budge from it, but I'm not mean about it. I'm very sure about my boundary. I'm ready to make the statement again and again if I need to in the same way. And again, I'm trying to think of any horses I've done videos with that boundary. Because I think you have to see it and then you go, oh, well, God, and all I have to do is kind of stand there and it's like, okay, keeps trying. And pretty soon they go, okay. So again, it doesn't build in the brace. It builds in a horse that's going to think about what you're expecting, right? I need for you to be here. Okay. And then they realize when she says that or makes that picture in her mind, I will respect that. But as you see, it's on us to be really clear about what is our boundary and to state it. Otherwise, why would they get in trouble for something that we didn't tell them and give them any parameters around?
But
And
you're saying it's okay to change it depending on the situation. Like one day I might feel my boundaries here, and then one day it might be there. Will that confuse the horse?
it doesn't if you're very clear, like in this space right now, here's where your boundary is. Like, let's say you're just going out to groom. Maybe your boundary, you go, oh, my boundary's here. He's being very soft or she's being really soft. She can come in closer. I I collapse a lot of my boundaries when that horse is really gentle and soft. But they get bigger, it's like you have to stay out there if you're going to be obnoxious, you know, and all touching and all this. And you'll see this a little bit with the horse that I show the video in here in a little bit. There's a horse that he was all over the owner, and a lot of his problem was anxiety. He was trying to put his energy onto the person, his anxiety. He was trying to transfer to here, take my anxiety. Here, I've got it overflowing. Here, you guys take all you want, and he was constantly in the space. And I actually made her put up put a boundary, a physical boundary for a while. But you're going to see at the end of this video how once he relieved his anxiety issues, he could maintain a boundary. So there's other factors around boundaries that we need to look at. Why is that horse in your space? Is it just because they want to be really gregarious and close? Most likely in older horses, not necessarily the younger ones, but the older horses, it's usually anxiety, insecurity, that they need to be right there. And so we've got to address that underlying problem of why are you in this space? Okay, so this is a two-parter situation where, I've got to evaluate some things and see what I think is going on with that horse. If they have insecurity, what energy would you start to model for them out of it? I might try safety and comfort, or I might try that soft confidence. Okay, so that they would know what to replace their anxiety with. Okay, so it's not that we're just correcting a behavior. We need to give them a strategy for dealing with that problem of why they need to be in my space. Okay, so two-pronged answer to boundaries. They're a lot more complex than they seem at the beginning, So, a young horse might just see you as a play toy, that's okay. And that's why I never get mad at them for their boundary infringements, but they have to understand I need my space. I have personal space needs. I have needs for my space, right? So any questions on that?
I think that helps a lot. I would love to see a video. If you find a video, I would really love to see how you do, especially with your rope, because I think that would be really helpful to see it. I think I understand what you're saying, but I'm probably overthinking it because that's just what I do.
Yeah.
That's true because like he does like, and I have a very small, it's something Colleen and I are working on. I have a very small personal bubble. Like we say I have a kid size hula hoop. I don't mind if they're like really close, but I've had to learn like he's got to be further away because he's, probably pushing 300 pounds, I imagine, at his month-old self, and he's just
Yeah.
big.
And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't take very long for them to get the idea of
Right.
what is the boundary. And again, I'm not being mean.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, not me.
and what I want them to do is listen to me. I'm gonna tell you what the boundary is. In my mind, I'm gonna establish it very, very clearly.
Mhm.
And every time they come in, I redo the picture in my mind. Remember, this is my space, my space. And you have to remember to be the wall or the door. You know,
Okay.
you hit it and they'll try to push it. And especially if he's 300 pounds, you can still maintain the
Yes.
right. Um,
For a whole lot longer, but
right,
yes.
right.
I can.
And what's very interesting is I did a gathering just recently, and it's interesting because it started out where the horse had to be an arm's distance from me because he was all over me and he was anxious and he was biting and he was like just wild, and I'm like, you gotta be over there. After he went through the process, he was standing next to me with his head right here and he was quiet and his head was down and he was soft. And it's like, you can be here now.
Mhm.
That's okay for you to be in this space now because you're respecting it and you're soft and you're gentle. So, again, no hard and fast rules in this, but just it, I think with what I do, it takes a lot more of us going, what's going on? What is the really root cause of that behavior? And instead of just using one tactic or one technique, no matter what the underlying problem is, which is where I saw other horsemanship in the past. It's like, here's the thing you do for this, and here's the thing you do for that, and it's like, those don't always work. And sometimes they create more problems than they do solutions because you use the wrong technique for insecurity and you cause more trauma, maybe. So, yeah, let me see what I can do and see if I can find that video. My mind's spinning. It's like, where was it? Because I don't let people film a lot at my sessions, but I'll find something here. So that kind of gets into our next thing of what do we do with things like insecurity or trauma or all of these things. And really in the past, I keep going back to natural horsemanship because that was kind of where I started and learned all the techniques. And it's like, well, you do round penning and that will get your horse to connect and be ready to do work, whatever you're asking. And all that time I was thinking, well, yeah, there has to be another way to do this where you could get a horse present, focused, relaxed, and connected without running them off their feet, without dominating them, having them acquiesce to you. Because I felt like when that was done to horses, it was a false acquiescence. Like they were just waiting for an opportunity to get back in or to do something. So if you think about it too, the round penning is something and the groundwork and all that stuff that they came up with, you have to do it all the time. Like, did you do your groundwork today? Did you do it before you got on? That's exhausting. And it's all about managing the horse's mental and emotional state and their physical state, really, too. Why did we become managers of horses? When do we need to set some of those responsibilities onto the horse and say, you've got to manage your emotions, you've got to manage your mental state, and you've got to manage your feet. And I'm going to give you good information on my end. I'm going to make pictures. I'm going to be very clear about what I ask you to do. But you have responsibilities. And I'm not just going to be a reactive manager, always reacting to the next thing the horse does. And if you watch people working with horses, it's like they're so busy all the time. It's like always reacting to something the horse did. And a lot of times this turns into a game for the horse where it goes, I know I could push your button, so I'm going to do this thing. And then you'll get all busy and I'm just going to laugh at you because you're all like, and you're doing all this stuff. And it's like the horse is just going, yeah, honk on me all you want. But I got a charge out of that. That was fun watching you move around. I'm not going to move very much. And I'm going to do something I call the 4 questions, which is designed to get the horse present, focused, relaxed, connected, with neither one of us breaking a sweat, me not touching the horse not touching me. We each get to our place that we can do the work we need to do together. That's my goal here, is that I do less work. And really the horse does less work too. But we come to a greater clarity and understanding in our communication and our relationship. So this is the genesis of this process that I do with the 4 questions. And we've already done the first question. Are you breathing? That's my question number 1 for a horse. I want to know, are they breathing? Because that's going to tell me a lot about their mental, emotional state, their physiological state. Are they in sympathetic or parasympathetic? Where are they at? So I want to eventually have my horse saying, yeah, I'm breathing. Okay, because that's going to be later on my cue to get them back in their body, connected to themselves. Are you breathing? So we'll just kind of, we've already done this a little bit, but when I do all 4 questions together, I just want to do a first evaluation. What does the horse's breathing look like? And then I'm going to evaluate it when we're done. Okay. So I'm not going to worry too much or spend a whole lot of time on that one. And we've already kind of explored that a little bit as far as our breathing and the horse's breathing. So question number 2. And I think what I'll do is break this up and I'm going to show you a reaction to question number 2 on a horse I never met on a virtual call. So question number 2 is there anything you need to show or tell me today? We don't have to define that. We don't have to do anything because this is all in the energy field. They know what we're asking. And you're going to see how this horse knows what I'm asking. Anything you need to show or tell me. And what we're going to do when we ask that question is we're going to watch and observe the horse's reaction to that. Do they flick an ear? Do they actually go and point to something on their body? We're going to stay in one place. Does a horse come and position his body so that I have to look at a certain spot in his body? Okay. All of these things you're going to be observing, maybe even just a little twitch somewhere in their body or blinking or something. You're going to go, oh, I see that. And you could let that go when you're ready. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is with this question, I'm going to be evaluating the horse's stress level. I'm going to bring awareness to his own body about where he holds stress or trauma. And I'm going to be creating a stronger bond with my horse. Because if you think about it, if somebody asks you, hey, how are you today? They're not expecting you to say much. You could go, oh, I'm okay. But they didn't leave an open-ended question there. They just said, hey, how are you today? As a nicety, kind of. But if you ask them anything you need to show or tell me today, that opens up for a conversation. Oh, and you better be ready to listen to this conversation, as we'll see in the second horse video tonight. Yeah, you might not like what you get there, or it may be big. Okay, so that's when I put a barrier between the person and the horse. But this question, if you think about it, hasn't been asked of many horses in their lifetimes. We go about getting busy and we go in there and we just start doing stuff to a horse. But we don't always think to go, hey, how's your day going? Anything you need to show or tell me about it? Okay, and this is really funny because I asked this one horse one time, and he was at one of my gatherings, and it was a big ranch gelding. You know, he's like, good boy, I'm a good boy. And he comes out and he's all standing there and he's all straight and he's like, I'm a good boy. And I'm like, anything you need to show or tell me today? And you could see his eyes, they got big, like, what? I think she was talking to me. And you could see him like he just froze. He's like, oh God, oh God, oh God, I think she talked to me. And then I asked him again, anything you got to show me, tell me today? And he very slowly turns around. He goes, he looks around his backside on one side, like he's looking for somebody else that I'm talking to, and then he looks around the other side. It's like, oh God, I'm the only one here. It must be me. And so he stood there for a long time. And he eventually flicked an ear back, like on one side. I go, oh, I see that. Well, you could let that go when you're ready. And then he's like, oh God, she did see that thing. And what do I do? And so he stood there for a long time, and then he licked and chewed and like relaxed and let whatever that stress go. And I said, oh, thank you. That was so good. And he was like, oh my God, I don't know what just happened. And he just melted in that space like nobody had ever asked him about him. And believe it or not, they know these words we're saying, and they know exactly what I'm saying because I say it with intention. I make a picture. I'm embodied in, like, I see you, anything you need to show me. And it's a really powerful question. And when people say, well, we have to do all this stuff to get connection and all this with our horses, and we have to do all these things. No, you could just ask them one question. And it would do more than all of those techniques combined to create a communication and a relationship between you and the horse. So with that said, I think I'll set this video up. I'm not going to show you the whole thing. I'm just going to show you the very beginning of this video so that you have an idea of maybe what might show up here. This was a gelding that was going to come to one of my gatherings, but he couldn't get in the trailer. And so she ended up coming without him. And then I said, well, since you didn't come, I could do a virtual session with you. And she says, oh, okay, we'll do a couple virtual sessions instead of you bringing him to the gathering. So it became very clear in this session why that horse could not get into the trailer. It's because he was totally disconnected from his body and he had a lot of trauma in his back end. That said, I didn't know this beforehand, but it became obvious within just a couple minutes here. So let me go ahead and do my share screen. Let's see. Where did it go? There we go. Just bear with me here. Desktop, let's see. Okay, take yellow. All right. Okay, here we go. This is in real time. This is how quick it happened. Okay. Hello. Hello, handsome.
That's Tango.
Hello. What you doing? Yeah. Okay. So let's start at the beginning with our, oh, you're already starting. So you just stay in one place and he's already telling us he got stuff in the back end. So we're gonna tell him, yes, you can let it go when you're ready. You don't have to hold it. We'll see what he does here while we're talking. Okay. Because you can see like his back feet are not in alignment. And
yeah.
Okay, so he kind of positioned right away with the camera. So we're gonna see, yeah, you can let it go when you're ready. If you're in danger, move, but otherwise, yeah, we'll be okay. You got this. You got it. You can let it go when you're ready. Okay, does he do this often?
No, it looks like he's got some terrible itch he's trying to scratch.
This is very interesting how this just started out. because he started to show us right away that he had stuff going on in his back end. All right. And so I said, I see it. He could let it go when he's ready. And this is what he's doing. This is good though. Because itchiness can be aggravation or something he's trying to release back there. So we're just going to let him do this because it came about really quickly with coming on. Okay, this is good. Good boy, you're doing a good job. He's trying to get to release that, whatever it is. I know, I see it. I see it, buddy. I see it. And that could be part of his being stuck is something energetically stuck back there. You know, when he starts to move and he gets stuck. Okay, you got it. And if you say this isn't necessarily a normal behavior.
No, not lately. Like he has rubbed his butt on things. Like there's like poles with support wires, and sometimes they'll try to nail underneath the support wire and rub it. But not
this is quite interesting, and it happened that fast. So yeah, you got this, boy. You got it. Are you gonna spend your whole session doing that? This is
not.
Oh, it'll be good. You're doing a good job, buddy. It's like they know where their stuff is and what they need to do. So there's some acupressure points back there too. He could be working on that. That's a good boy. But you'll go back and watch this video, and it was immediate when he showed us his butt, and then when I said you could let that go when you're ready, he went over and started working on it. So this is pretty cool. Okay. Yeah. That's been there for a while, huh? I know. Yeah. Here we go. Oh, man. Okay. So while he's doing that, we can talk. So tell me how your breathing is coming.
Good. I had one good success story of my cat. Well, it's my boyfriend's cat, but her name is Crybaby. She's very vocal, and I had to take her to the vet. So she was yowling the whole way there. And so I tried different things, talking to her, not talking to her, turned on the radio off. And then I tried the elliptical breathing, and just like a light switch, she stopped. She was silent.
Oh, wow.
So that's my biggest success story.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
Yeah. And I horses too, but I haven't had anything specific, just not to keep the wood.
Okay. So are you doing it now? Let's just go into doing the elliptical breathing as he's doing this, releasing. Good boy. That's interesting. That he kind of paused there for a minute. You need to, okay, there we go. You got a lot of stuff to let go of, don't you, buddy? I know. You can do it. You can do it. Got it. Oh, good boy. Good boy. You can do it. This is stuff that's been in there a long time.
Yeah. I've been doing like the sessions where you ask them to show you things, and then are all your parts connected and all that stuff. And it worked for a couple times, and then he stopped. Like he wouldn't look into like nothing I would do. He just like, is there anything you want to show me? Just stand there, nothing, zoned out.
Okay. I'm not gonna, what I'll do is I'll upload this or put it as a link because there's another, it's about 30 minutes long here and there's no reason to go. But I just wanted you to see this. Hold on a second. I'm going to stop share. And this was one of the more dramatic answers to a question. I mean, this horse was primed and ready to answer that question. It's not always going to be that dramatic, of course, but it explained a lot of things about if he has this stress, and he hold on, whenever he gets stressed at all, he disconnects his back end from the front end. Just like, sometimes we get stressed and we go up here and we just start intellectualizing everything and we forget about our body. Okay, same thing happens with horses, is they disconnect a part of their body. And so he would get like front feet in the trailer and it's like, I'm in, because he has no connection, no feeling, no proprioception to know that his back end is actually not in the trailer because he's not connected. So this is really telling that he recognizes that he has this disconnect. And you see how he went to fixing it. We didn't jump in there and start doing something to him to get him reconnected. This is what's really important with this work, especially in the internal work where we're looking at mental and emotional, spiritual, energetic connection, that we don't get in there and interfere with it and start doing something. They've got to do the work. They've got to get their awareness back. They've got to figure out strategies to let it go. So all I'm doing as he's releasing there in the back is that I'm breathing. So I'm holding space. I was probably in a little bit of the safety and comfort energy sometimes. And I just held the space for him to say what he needed to say and to work on himself. So the other video we'll watch here in a minute will show another horse almost doing the same thing. It's a lot of geldings have back end disconnects that I have theories about as far as the gelding process and a lot of other things that have happened specifically with geldings. But yeah, if you think about the gelding process, no matter how nice it is still a trauma to the body, to the psyche at some level. And it's like, wow, I disconnect that part of my body. So this is really, really common in the geldings, especially to show us something in the back end like that. Any questions so far on that? Okay, kind of freaky. It's like, I never met this horse, and this is how the energy is. I know what we're going to work on before the session, and so it's in my mind, and I think the horses pick up on this stuff. So once you start being a person that asks these questions, the horses are going to recognize you. Going to know that you ask and that you're interested. So question number 2 was anything you need to show or tell me. So question number 3 is all about the mind-body connection. So it's a mechanism that I use to get that horse connected throughout its whole entire body. So I'm going to ask him, are your pieces connected? It's kind of a funny term to use, but it's like, this means to him, are you connected to the earth? Are you connected to the ground? Are you connected to your back end, to your middle, to the front, to your head, to your brain? And then in a spiritual way, are you connected to something beyond? So consciousness or whatever you want to think about it. So at any of one of those places in the horse's body, or from the mind to the spirit, or from the grounding, the horse can be disconnected. And therefore, there will be a lack of communication somewhere in there, energetically or at one of the other levels. So I want to have that mechanism to go connect back, be in your body, be completely, utterly communicating in your own body. Because if they're not in their body connected, whatever is disconnected, we're not going to be able to communicate with. The same is true for us. I'm going to ask myself the same question as I'm working with the horse. Are my pieces connected? Okay, so when I first ask this question to a horse, I'm going to define it, just like I defined our boundary space. I'm going to go and stand maybe 10 feet away, and I'm going to just trace it with my eyes, or I'll put my hand up and I'll start in the back end and I'll say, are your feet connected to the ground? And I'll go and put my attention on his feet. And then I'll go up the body and I go, are your feet connected to your legs in the back? Are they connected to your rear end? Are they connected to the middle part of your body? To your front part? To your neck? To your head? To your brain? And then beyond. And that's all I have to do so that they go. And a lot of times just asking them that, the horse will stop and just stand there for like, I don't know, I guess I'm not. And sometimes they get anxious, like you, Lisa, found with, when you asked about the breathing. I like that they got anxious because it means they're not connected. Okay. And so I want my horse connected. I often hear people say, I'm riding this horse. It feels like a different horse in front than behind. Yeah, because it's not connected energetically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. Somewhere there's or neurologically too, there's that other level. So spiritually, mentally, emotionally, energetically, neurologically. We're going to be working with these questions on balancing and connecting all of those levels of internal to get the internal balance. Okay. If any of those are off, the horse won't have balance. If the internal balance is off, the horse will be externally unbalanced in a physical way. What people do is they try to work the opposite direction. They try to go, oh, there's a physical imbalance. Let me fix it at the physical level. No, it started at one of those other 5 levels. And I don't care how much you work on the physical part of it, you're going to be doing it forever because the horse can't balance. It will always fall out of balance because the inner core of it is not balanced, just like with us. So when you think about these questions, they're also to meditate on for yourself. Where am I unbalanced? Am I connected? Okay, so this is question 3, but there's 3 parts to this question. So I have 3 A, B, and C that are kind of little sub-questions that you might have to ask a horse. And I usually do this the first time I go through these questions. And, I was thinking, it's like, well, that connection is great, but what if you're missing a piece? Like a piece of your personality, a piece of your essence, a piece of something, if you think of one of those levels, what if you're missing one of those? You can't balance or connect it because it's gone. So I'll ask them this next question, 3A. Are you missing any pieces? If so, you can go find them and put them back in where they were when you were born. Okay, this verbiage is really important. What I often see with horses that have something that's missing, and it's especially at that kind of emotional level, they're missing their confidence, they're missing something like that. It's like what they'll do, oftentimes they'll go down and their head goes down and they start like messing around with their nose in the dirt, like they're searching. And they'll do that. And it's almost invariable that, people go, oh no, you're making that up. It's like for the last how many years, 5, 10 years, I've asked that question. I get the same answer. It's not surprising to me that that would be the response if something is missing. My theory on that is that horses are connected to the energy field in the earth. And why would they not go there to connect back in and find out what's gone or what's missing and search for it there? It's like their internet. Where's my stuff that's missing? Let me Google it down here in the ground. See if I can find it. It's really cool. And what you'll do is you'll just, with these questions, don't go through them really quick. You give a horse a lot of time. And in that time, you're practicing your breathing and you're just holding your breath. I'm not holding your breath, holding your breathing. And just holding that space for them to go do their exploration. And if they find you, if they have a lick and chew, or they, a lot of times they'll just stand there stunned, like they just stop moving or something, and it looks like their ears are going back and forth, or they're just kind of zoned out. It's like they're looking. Okay, they're looking for something. So again, any number of things can happen in this question. And when I show you part of the video, the next video is like 52 minutes, so we're not going to watch the whole thing. But if you're curious about this whole process, you can watch in real time how this progressed with this particular horse. So, question 3A, any pieces missing? Do you have any of your pieces missing? The second question, 3B, just like we can have missing, we could have extra pieces. If you think about it, horses are empaths. They pick up energies from other horses, people, things, environments, whatever. I'm going to ask him, do you have any pieces that don't belong to you? If you do, you can let them go when you're ready, or you can give them back to whoever or whatever gave it to you. This is really critical, that it's almost like we have to give them permission to not hold stuff, either for us or other horses. And just a caveat here before I go any further, I don't do the 4 questions with somebody else's horse. Well, I do because I'm leading them through, but they have to be there. They have to be present, participating in this process because it has to do with the owner and the relationship and all those kind of things. Okay, so anything you got that doesn't belong to you, you can let it go when you're ready. Okay. And then this next question, I used to blast past it a little bit and not, and we touched on it in our last thing, and I will ask them, 3C, do you have your peace of mind connected? PEACE. Most horses do not. Most people do not. So this is an exploration for you and your horse. Can I find a place of peace of mind? Do I even know what that is? What does it feel like? And I think we saw, I sent you that video with Ice, the one horse, and I did the peace of mind. I apologize, it was kind of a bouncy video, but I thought it showed really well. Like, he didn't know. He could find peace of mind in himself. And he used that for the next time the vet came to give the vaccinations and the worming. That with that strategy and that skill now that he could find his own peace of mind, he could handle that situation without freaking out like he used to. So peace of mind is critically important. So I used to make this like, I put it 3C, like it wasn't that big of a deal. I almost want to put it as a separate question altogether. Do you have your peace of mind connected? Because we've got to have peace of mind in this world now that's going on. We've got to be able to find a place of serenity within ourselves because everything else is going crazy out around us. But we can still control how we feel. And if we can create that inner peace. And I want that for the horses. They really want peace. And you'll see if you watch the full video of the second horse that I showed tonight, that he finds it at the end. And that was in real time, 52 minutes. He had never found peace of mind before. 52 minutes is not that long when you think of it, for having a strategy that will help you. There was a horse that I just worked with last week in St. Louis, and talk about not having peace of mind. This horse came in the arena, would not look like he was on the end of the rope, and his head was looking out all the time. And he was just a nervous wreck, like he couldn't keep his feet still. I just let him walk around. And we asked the 4 questions the first 2 days. And first day he came down a little bit. I'm like, that's good. Second day, he was more connected. Third day, he was the horse that came up and was like, right here, I got peace of mind now. And he was quiet and his head was down and he wasn't screaming for the other horses. And then I just got a video from the girl, and she said, whenever I went to the show with him, people were like, oh my God, that horse is like nuts. He's nuts all the time. And she said the last show she was at, she would just touch the reins. He's backing up. He's screaming for other horses. He's a mess. She comes to the clinic 3 days. We work with him just for an hour each. He went to the show, little jumping show. He was like, had his presence, and he was happy and he was relaxed, not a peep out of him. It was like night and day. And all he found was the peace of mind and some of his pieces. And he let go what was really important for that horse. He would feed off the energy of these other horses at the show. And then it would just keep escalating until he lost his mind. But all we had to do is tell him, if it doesn't belong to you, you don't need to take it on. He's like, well, really? You know? And how do you explain this stuff when we're just talking to a horse and we're not doing a physical thing, and there's that dramatic of a change? I mean, the people that were there at the gathering, she posts the video on our little Facebook group, and they're like, that's not the same horse that we saw that first day. Nothing else changed other than the 4 questions and him having some strategies in his life to deal with things. And actually, in the missing pieces, it was his essence, who he was, had been squashed down so much, beat down, told he was worthless, told he wasn't any good, told he was a maniac, he let go of all those things. And then he could perform like he never did before. So when I say these are important questions, they're mind changing, and they're body changing, and they're life changing questions, especially for the horses. Okay, so question number 4, the last one of the biggies here. We can have all our pieces, but what if they're not in proper order or in alignment? So I'm going to ask the horse, are your pieces in alignment? Meaning, like I go and kind of model it. It's like I've got all these 5 boxes of all the internal things, and I've stacked them up very in the right place. And just, it doesn't matter how you visualize that, but I also imagine too, as I ask that question, are your pieces in alignment, that I feel this sense of, I get taller energetically, like I fill up this way. And then I fill out, like I'm filling my whole body with who I am, like from the ground in that breath. Oh, I bring it in and I feel it go up, and I feel myself expand in all different directions. And I feel a solidness in that space, like you can't push me off balance. So some things when I think about, are your pieces in alignment? Yes, everything's stacked up, but it's also like I've got this core, like a rod or something that goes through my whole body, and like you could push me and all I would do is sway, but I would have that place of balance right there that I could always go back to. So one of the ways that you tell whether the horse has gotten to that place of internal balance is that they will square up, front feet squared up, back feet squared up. If they're really relaxed, they'll cock one back foot. And we'll see this in the video, the horse finding that space. So just one of your cues or clues as you're looking at different horses and evaluating, well, that horse is kind of stressed, or that horse disconnected, or whatever, is how are they standing? Are they standing square, or are their feet out of alignment? The out of alignment is going to give you a good indication of where that horse is either stuck energetically or something's not connected. And when they find that place of that internal balance, there's a I think there's this feeling of power. That's what that little horse I just told the story about. At the end of our session, it was like he was squared up and he was like there. And he's like, I have never felt so connected and so grounded and so here in my life. And it gave him that sense of power of he was in control of his life, not, being controlled by it. Okay. And again, this is one of those things that I never saw discussed in natural horsemanship. We didn't care where their feet were. We were always moving them anyway, but it's like, where did the horse end up? How does that horse feel to you when you look at him? Not just with your eyes, but with your body and the everything inside you from, when you're doing the breathing and the body scan. How does that horse feel to you? That's what's important to me. Not just that I got the horse to do something, but that in the end, I had a sense that that horse felt more powerful, more relaxed, more connected, more present, more just full of who he was or who he came to be. So that's my goal with these 4 questions. And they're not for everybody, I understand that, but it's like if you're on a different path and you do care about not just getting something done with your horse, but how do they feel at the end of that, then these are great ways to find that pathway there. And when you stick with a horse through this process, it builds the bond between you. So those are the 4 questions. They're actually quite magical, as you can see, in terms of making major changes in a horse without ever touching them, which I think is they've got to do their own work. You can't step in and try to manipulate the answer. Which is one of those things which was really funny because people, especially I see people that do a lot of body work and it's great. I would suggest like you can do this first and then body work will stick more. Like whatever you do, chiropractic or body work or something like that is more likely to stay for a longer period of time if the horse has inner balance first. But it was funny because I had one person and she even laughed. She said, you can use this as an example. It's like, so, I talked about, well, if they're squared up, then they're balanced internally. So her horse was out of balance and the back end, wasn't squared up. And so what she did was go over and move him till his feet were squared up. And I said, no, that's cheating. You just made his balance, but it's a false balance. If you see, it's not a real balance because you made it happen. He's got to make it happen. He's got to make that decision. So, see how much time we have and how much of the video I can show. Oh, we'll be good. Any questions so far about anything? Does it make 0 sense or no sense?
So I don't have a question, but I can share stories that are similar, if that's
Sure.
appropriate. Yeah, so I had a gelding that came to one of my clinics and um thoroughbred that had been jumping but was having some issues with either bucking or having, sporadic behaviors. Anyway, during the clinic, once we were able to show him that I was like here to listen, um, he offered to lay down and sleep. And I had a couple of my clients there that are veterinarians, and immediately they were like, he's colicking. And I'm like, no, he's not. And so thankfully I was able to like just wait. And then as we worked through it, um, he was able to show me that just to ask some questions about his herd mates and come to find out he was put with a younger horse that was playing like nonstop. And so he was just overstimulated and then because of it was having other behaviors. And anyway, at the clinic, he ended up laying down for a good 30 minutes and afterwards came back a whole different horse in the afternoon session. And once they changed the pasture mate, all the behaviors disappeared and his lameness was improving.
Cool. Yeah. And as you can see, a lot of the old horsemanship, we didn't look at emotional stuff,
Hmm.
which has such a huge impact on these horses.
And then I love the idea too, because I think this is something at least I tried to speak to a lot, is that when we're getting to that, I call it regulation, but just that place where they can actually feel their whole body, right? Their proprioception is working and they actually know where their body is. I love that you validated that what I'm saying to my students is that they balance themselves, right? Like not only do they balance and get square, but usually they'll stretch a top line or, that's where they'll do their own body work and work things out. And that is always fun to see. I will say that there's times, and I guess this is a question, there have been times that they offer the body part for me to touch, but I'm definitely not like I'm not a body worker, but I'm there. I think of it more of like I've learned a number of modalities, but more of like a Reiki in the sense of like I'm just asking them to move what needs to be moved. I may put my hands on it more so I can um feel it in my own body.
Yeah. Um,
I don't know how you think about what your thoughts are on that.
I occasionally will touch them when I do, because I was a Reiki master, so I come from a lot of energy healing modalities that I studied, and it's like
Mhm.
they all felt like they were too manipulative. Like
Mhm.
what I will do instead of actually putting my hand on, I may put my hand on as a proprioception, like, can you feel this spot?
Mhm.
This is where to focus on, but I won't do anything in that spot. I will go to my own body and go, this is what I would do to move that through. So I model it through my own body instead
Mhm.
of like trying to send it through theirs or fix it or move it energetically myself. I will show them how to move it, if that makes sense. It's just a
Yeah, no, that no, I like that. I think it's the change in the verbiage, right? Because I think that's where the way I would describe it is I feel it in my own body,
yeah,
and then for lack of a better term, I process it, and then they usually show relaxation.
right,
So
right.
it's not like I'm moving.
Yeah,
Sometimes my hands will move, but it's more
right.
like because I'm trying to compare a sensation from one place to another.
Yeah. And this is really good. And I think um, I'm really careful because I'll just tell this really quick little story about it was when it really came to my mind that, oh my God, I'm not going to manipulate that horse in any way energetically or whatever, because that I had a gathering and I was doing, and this woman's like, oh, I'm an energy healer, and she's like all this stuff, and I was doing this stuff with the horse, and it did lay down, and then I said it's got some stuff stuck in the heart area, and I would be there encouraging it, like going on a journey, like you could look over here or you could do this. So, that's how I'm going to help that horse. It's like kind of take them on a little journey about how to heal that themselves. Well, she's like, no, 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 I know how to do this. And she walked in and she's like, I'm going to go and take it from him and I'm going to fix it. And I'm like, then I'm going to leave. I'm like, I can't watch this because it goes against everything I do. And I'm like, I'm just going to go up the hill. You do what you want with your horse. Since you're not going to listen, you go do it. So
Hmm.
I'm up on the hill. I see the horse in front. It's like out. It's like down. And then she comes running up the hill. Susie, Susie, come quick. My horse is dead. I'm like, what? She's like, he's not breathing. His eyes roll back in his head and he's gone. I'm like, oh my God, and then she's like, do something. It's like, why am I doing something now? And I went and bargained with him. I mean, I'm like, that goes against my thing too. It's like, come on back. It's not that bad. I know you went to a really good place, but come on back. And I thought, we have no, she got into that ego place where she's like going to fix this horse and she knew what to do. And it's like, that was too much. And you actually took him to a place where he's like on the other side. It's like, this seems really nice over here. I think I'll stay. And it's like, oh. So after that, I really thought, you know what? Even if I can, maybe I shouldn't.
Mm.
And that's when I left Reiki, because it's like it felt like, and all those other modalities that I knew, I'm like, those all feel like a iteration of this.
Mhm.
That I'm feeding my ego, and I'm like, look at me heal this horse, look at me, and it's like, you don't know what you just did
Mhm.
to that animal. Did they want that? So, I step back, and maybe some people, they go, oh, you're not really a healer. And no, I'm not. I don't ever claim to be. I'm a leader. I'm like, point the direction over there or over there, or you could try this, or I
That's
could
right.
do this for you. But that's the most I'm going to do. I'm not going to step into that thing and saying, I know how to do this and I'm going to fix it. No, they'll fix it.
Well, they don't need to be fixed.
No, they already know how to do it.
Right.
And I want that to be their decision too. Maybe you don't want to heal that thing because you need that thing to get through your life with that person you're with or that place you live or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm not going to mess with that. That's why I say if you watch very closely on the verbiage, you can let that go when you're ready. If
Mhm.
you're- That's really important verbiage. So it may happen in that space. It may happen tomorrow, may happen a month from now. I don't know. So,
I think it goes back to that idea too that it has to be theirs in order for it to stick, right?
right,
If
right,
it's not their decision and if it's not their, like they know why they have a certain protection or why they have a certain, behavior that keeps them in a certain place.
exactly, exactly. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on out there that I'm not real keen on, but people are going to do what they do. But walking with integrity in yourself and knowing like this is how I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to tell somebody else how to do it, but I'm going to tell them what my beliefs and my morals and ethical practices are regarding this. So I love that you've got that same idea on that. So with that said, let me see. I don't know if I've got it. I may show you if I don't find it tonight. I'll send you a picture. Well, actually, there's two pictures of this mare that I work with at a clinic, and it was kind of an interesting situation that happened with her as far as what she was missing and what she had extra. I'll just put it at that. We went through this process, and there's a before picture of her, and the after picture doesn't look like the same horse at all in any way. Um, so I think I'll tell that story probably in the next book that I write, because it was it's a really far out there kind of a situation, but it was like, oh, here's what happens when you find all your pieces. So, and you let go of the ones that don't belong to you. With that said, I'll set this up for this next video, and we'll just start into it just a little bit, because again, you can watch it at your leisure as far as what's going on. This is a Frisian horse with high anxiety. He's had high anxiety, and I had the lady step out of this space with him because he was trying to put his energy onto her, his anxiety on there. And I think now I can't remember, but what you can do, we'll kind of watch just a couple minutes of the first part of it, and then I'll forward to a latter part of the video, and you can see how he ended the session here. And again, not touching him. So hold on, I will get this one up, and I'll put the whole thing on for you guys to watch. Let's see, I need to get rid of that one. Okay, so this is Bo, and he's about, I don't know, 6 or 7 now, I think. Had a really bad experience at the trainer. They pushed him pretty hard. He's super sensitive and wasn't really highly emotionally mature at the time that he got sent to training. Okay.
But yeah, he seems nervous about stuff, a lot. He worries. He's a worrywart, I think.
Okay.
He needs to let it go. It's okay.
Let's go see if he's got anything missing. I would say, I don't know what his breathing is normally, but usually a worry horse is a flank breather. Or you don't see any movement at all in the barrel. So let's just see if that's true.
Some barrel movement that's not like proper.
Okay, all right. Do you see the lack of boundaries at number 1? This was I didn't touch on this in this session because we weren't working on boundaries per se, but I made her get out of the ring. But it's almost like she's asking for him to infringe on the boundary sometimes. So I'm going to have her get out. So that's part of his, that game they play between each other was the boundary thing. It's like, oh, I want to be up here and touching you and all this kind of stuff. And what I find with a nervous horse is don't touch them. Quit touching so much. And that's why the 4 questions, you don't get to touch them at all during that so that you're not messing with the process here. And if he is messing with you, we'll just put the rope over the rail and then just let him be out there. So yeah, we'll see what he does here. Okay, so Bo, and you haven't done the 4 question with him either?
No,
Okay.
I've been better.
Okay.
I'm just getting back into it because, like I said, there was a few months during the winter where it was kind of like, hi guys, here you go.
Exactly.
You know.
No judgment on my part. We'll just go deep and see what we can do. And if we do it here this time, you should be able to just ask a question and have it happen pretty quickly. Hi, what are you doing? So you can see in this horse, he's looking for answers outside of himself. Somebody over here must have the answer to my anxiety. Somebody here. It's like he's very, very busy. Okay. Okay. Oh, you're going to be a fiddler too. Huh? Don't look at my stuff. I'm fine. So I'm just gonna, I think I'll start with the anything you need to show or tell me today. And we might have you step out just for a little bit and see, because he seems to be wanting to evade the questions a little. And I just wanted you to notice, this is an example, and not to pick on her at all, but do you see how when we try to manage them, how busy we are? There's just so much busyness, and that does not help a horse that's anxious, because every action he does, there's a reaction from her, and then it just keeps feeding. So taking that out of the equation here to begin with. Bye. We don't get to do that. We're all going to stay here. You're going to have a thing, and then you can just keep him within reach with the rope here, but he can move around a little bit. Okay, Bo. We're good. And check in with, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now, I don't know if that was some, let's see what that was. Because they already know that I asked these questions, so they may start already. Anything you need to show us today? Right there. Okay, well, that makes sense. It looks like he was chewing around or somebody was around his withers. Okay, we see that one. Good. See, you let it go already. I see that one in the back too. Okay, so it was one in the back. Okay, can let those go when you're ready. Feels like he holds tension in and then until he can't. Yeah, until it gets to a certain level and then it comes out bigger. Okay, so he's got both sides where it looks like he kind of chews a little bit or something's going on there. So those places where they chew on themselves, as you know, it's probably energy stuck areas. or there's trauma in those spaces. So you can just kind of look at those to give you some idea. I like to know where my horse holds tension or trauma because it's going to show up in the training so that I can work through that if I need to. So probably a stress point. Okay, you can do it. We see it. Good boy. See, we knew you were really smart. Yeah, you got this. You got it. He's like, fix me. No, you get to fix yourself. Then you grow up and then yeah, it's really nice. Okay, good boy. So, him holding stuff in the back end, does that make sense to you on any level?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I see that. I know I see it. He's feeling it now because we put attention on it. Okay, you can let him go. Let all those things go. I also feel him holding really a lot in his shoulders, base of his neck. Okay. All right, there we go. I'm just gonna fix myself. Oh, there's his back end. Yes. All right. So we're gonna let him work on it. Okay. Whew. Is this a normal thing he does or not?
Well, not very often,
Okay.
but he will do this, but.
All right. So we asked him the question and really triggered this. So I'm going to say he's doing it when he's getting emotional. Oops. Can you hold your fence up?
I'm doing.
That's a lot of stuff. Very interesting that when, I said, do you notice him holding his stuff in the back end? And now, he's like, yep, I do. Yep, I certainly do. All right, good job. How you holding up there, Debbie?
Then that's got the other one.
Just breathe through it, Debbie. You can do it. There we go. Good boy. You got it. You can let it go. Whoa, dude. I think this has been held for a while. If I were there, I'd tag team it with you. Can't do it. You got it. You can let it go, buddy. There you go. Good job. Oh, good. Oh, well, that was dramatic. Okay. All right. So kind of a similar reaction to that first horse that we watched. But when you're doing this process, it's a lot of watching, but it's also me feeling in my body what's changing, what information am I getting from the horse, so that I can, like, I'll often feel the stuck place or the tension build up when I was saying, like, it's in my neck, it's in the back end. I'm feeling that on my end, internally in my body. Okay. So I'm using both my eyes and I call them my non-eyes, my internal sensory system to figure out what's going on. So again, I'll let you guys watch this whole thing later on, but I'm going to just fast forward here. If you need to leave, it's 7:30. I'll just play out kind of a last few minutes of this. So if you have to leave, you can leave. And then again, I'll post the whole video on later on. Let's see if I can get it forwarded to where he starts to come out of this. Whoops. Okay, hold on. I know which one I got to get to here. So bear with me. Maybe we'll do that. Here we go. I'm just showing in the breath circle, the breath coming in, moving through your body. There you go. And go to the little bit of safety and comfort. And there we go. See how he had to blink, that blink? He's resisting the safety and comfort because he feels like he's got to be on guard all the time, but it's almost like he can't resist it now because you see his little eyes blinking. Like, okay, he could do that. Right. There we go. He almost let go of a little bit there. Okay, and then he comes back to you, but you're not available. There we go. You got it. You can relax. You can let it go. Oh, look at that. And he went on point. Look at that. Good job. Good job. That was awesome. And see the blinking now and a little quieter. We're going to take those few seconds that we got him switched off from that other place. Good job. And we're going to let him simmer in this and go, you know what? I'm safe. I feel good. Got some endorphins, a little dopamine, some serotonin. Feels good. There we go. I see that. So now he's talking. I see, and you're back in. You're telling me you got stuff back there. Good. You can let those go. You can let that go when you're ready. There we go. Okay. And then he comes to the thing. That's okay. That's the longest he held it. Yeah. Good. Okay. All right. This is hard. This is really hard. It's almost like we have to titrate it into a dose. We start with, we got a little dose. You did really good. You held it for probably 15 seconds, 30, I don't know, maybe like that. That was huge. And he went on point. Yeah. So he found that place of peace. What he's really looking for with all his antics is that, oh, see when I said peace? See what happened? Okay, so this is going to be, yeah, okay. Again, I'm taking 4 or 5 seconds. That's awesome. That's a good start. It tells me he can hear it. He can tolerate it for a few seconds. Once he realizes that place is so much nicer, all of this anxiousness and the movement, and see his eyes now blinking different. Good.
Softer too.
That's a good boy. I see. Yeah, now he's telling me, yeah, I see you got stuff back there. It's okay. I see it. You can let it go. It's like we are really listening. We're what? Good. And so this gives you a chance to really practice your safety and comfort. I'm going to go even into a little more of serenity, which has some peace of mind. It's what that feels like. You like that? It's nice. This is lovely. And what we like is that he's blinking, so we know he's listening on this. Okay. There, good boy. Just moving that air through. And this is a neural pattern of, oh, he didn't follow through with the whole thing. Oh, did you see that? He was going to reach over and try to get you, and he stopped himself like he forgot. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do after that. He's going to go do this other one. This is what we want to see, is the extinguishment of those old patterns. Okay. And look at his neck, and everything's much more relaxed. Okay.
Much softer.
Much softer. And I would stay out of his range, just when we're trying to go through the, not, you were fine there, but just for you, when you're practicing this, just stay out of his range. So he's not able to touch you during this, but you can hold the space, and you're watching him and you're talking to him. And it's like, this is how our first thing with a boundary is, like, here's how the boundary is. Okay, right now we have to have a physical boundary there.
Yeah.
But he's going to, after he realizes, oh, I can control myself, and I don't have to be on top of somebody grabbing their energy or putting my excess energy on them. That's, oh, what are you listening to me when I'm talking about that? See, this is how it, when you grow up, you keep your own energy and you let that go if you get extra. Yeah. Okay, and he dropped too. Okay, then oh, this is good. Then he's recognizing I got stuff in the back end, so we'll let him do this. I'm so proud of him. He's now taking some responsibility for his own emotions and figuring out, yes, it's offense, but the other horse I did this where he was doing a lot in his back end. Good boy. Good boy. He was doing it against his stall, so it could, it's a solid wall, so it could withstand the pressure. There you go. Good boy. We're teaching him. He's going, oh, wait, if I can't put my energy on somebody else, what am I going to do? He's going to have to think about it. And right now it's the fence, but pretty soon he's going to learn, don't accumulate that much angst. Just feel something, let it go. Feel something, let it go. Okay, this is lovely. This is lovely. I would love to check it back in with him again. So we give him at least a week or so, probably, and then see how he's doing. Because what he did just now in the last 15 minutes or so was astounding. Okay, just really good. Cool. Look at you. Good job. I'm just going to tell him I'm just going to show him how he can go look for pieces that are missing. Oops, see there. And put them back in where they go. This would be things like his sense of self. Those things he lost went there. And more importantly, let go of any energy that doesn't belong to you. So if you have extra pieces, other people's energy, you can let it go. I'm showing him a picture of a nice way, like here, lovely place. You can let it go on the fence like that. That's lovely. Yeah, I see that in the back end. You can let all that go. That doesn't belong to you anymore. Okay. And then I'm just gonna model for him once he does the go look for your pieces, let go of any extra ones. Can you put in your peace of mind? I'm modeling this when I say this to him right now. I'm just saying so that when you say these things, he'll know what they mean.
Okay.
Just defining them energetically for him. Is your peace of mind connected? That's what that feels like. And do you have your pieces in alignment? Okay. And then I'm showing him what that means. So now what you can do, I don't know if you feed him at night, you could just give him homework in the night. Go find your pieces, if there's any missing. Let go of any extra pieces you have. Here, this is much nicer. I know he was kind of checking himself, but he came into this space softer with his head down, right? I see that. You got yourself in a pickle. There we go. That was a good decision. Good thinking. Yeah. And so praising him a lot when he can find a place of calm and peace. There we go. Oh, there's some stuff in your shoulder. Yeah, there's some stuff on the robe. You're doing so good. We're so proud of you. Yeah. Did you feel his energy shift? Have you felt shift to something softer?
Yeah.
Less frantic?
His whole demeanor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a big softer being.
Yeah. And so we're wanting to find more of these places where, oh, look at you. Good job. I see that. So every time he goes to that place, he goes, I still have stuff in my back end that I hold. I know, I see it. see it and you can let it go. See, now he looks more innocent, soft in his face. Yeah, I see that. I do. These questions are kind of magical. If you and they were ones that they didn't come from me. They came, horses told me, this is what you need to say to us. This is what you need to ask us. So, you know, sometimes I feel if somebody disrespects those questions, it's like I have to hold, it's like you're disrespecting horses if you disrespect those questions, because these may seem simple, but they're meaningful to the horse. They're so meaningful. Good boy, Bo. You look like such a soft, beautiful. And just notice now his boundaries have changed on his own because he doesn't have the unmet needs and everything that he was searching for. We'll just go a couple more minutes here. I like how he ends up on this, but you can watch the whole thing again in entirety if you want to. Doesn't that feel good? That feels amazing. Yes, there we go. And there was soft blinking when he looked. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful. Yeah, I see that. I see it. So see, now he's recognizing I've got some things missing. You can do it. We're holding your space for you. Go find those pieces. Good boy. Good job. As anxious as he was at the beginning, I'm surprised he could get to this at the end here. And look at how square he's standing now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. There you go. Look at that.
You can do it, huh?
And it's almost a metaphor. He's responsible for his own freedom. Like he stepped
Yeah.
on his own.
Yeah.
He's holding himself in with all of his anxiety, but he has the answer. Yeah, there you go. Good. Look at this head and neck. That's perfect. And blinking eyes. Oh, I'm so proud of you. Yeah.
I'll stop it.
And I'll just stop it there. But again, these questions are powerful with us just holding space. I talk more, if I were just doing it, I wouldn't talk as much, but I want people to see like when I notice something so that they can start to train themselves to feel or notice when they get something or whatever. So again, any questions you guys have on that? I mean, every one of these is radically different than the next one, but I think it was a really interesting thing to see. Like, here's this horse that you could not round pen a horse of this breed. You would, and I think this is probably why he is a little the way he is that it was way too much and he didn't understand. And it was like, that's not what you do with those kind of horses. I don't think it should, any of the horses really need that because it's so, this means something to him. The other is just busyness. It's just, here, we're doing something to you. You've got to react. And there's not a lot of thinking going on. What I like about the process of getting them into their body and into thinking and solving their own problems and modeling strategies for them to do so. That's, and all of my horses were this way. I never did groundwork. I haven't done groundwork in 40 years. But I can get on a horse and every time I get on, they're ready to go. You know, of course, I'll exercise, get them loosened up or something maybe, but I don't have to get their mind because it's always there through these questions. We're establishing how we interact and how we come together in this space that we're both going to be present, relaxed, focused, and connected. And that's my goal, because otherwise you're just like you could see, you're always just fixing something, managing something. I don't have to manage my horses anymore, you know, and I would want to be able to do that where I don't have to manage them, that they manage themselves. So, again, he was probably on the spectrum of, I've seen more nervous than that, but it's, he found his way through it. You know, he's got a ways to go still, but he found some answers. And I think it was fascinating how before he needed to be right in that space, like always like, oh, I'm losing my mind. You know, and touching her and doing all this stuff. And now he created a boundary that was bigger for himself. I can stand out here on my own and be okay. That's huge. Huge for a horse. So with that said, we probably went a little past our time, but anything before we end up here tonight? Any last minute comments, questions, anything else?
I just want to tell you thank you so much. I've learned so much. I've really enjoyed getting to do all the groups. And it was nice talking some. We were talking some before you hopped on, Colleen, about boundaries and things. So I was telling her a little bit about Moon Pie and some of his stuff too. So that was really neat to get to see. I'm excited to try and ask all the questions. This is very different. I'm a very touchy person. Like, I like to touch. And so not touching is a little hard for me. So I'm going to try and do them without touching.
Yeah. And the reason on these 4 questions that I don't touch them is because they're processing a whole lot of information.
Right.
If I put a hand on or do something more, that's extra sensory information that needs to be processed in this space. So, you know, just really with the 4 questions, I don't do it. But then you could see on this last horse, though, how much she needed to touch him and how she was kind of creating a little of that anxiety.
Right.
The excessive touching. And it's like for a horse like that, it's overstimulation, like blah, too much touching. So, you know, just watch that as you're out there with people and their horses. Do the horses like that touching, or what is their reaction to it? They get it. Is it too much? You know, and I mean, I find some of the relationships where I'm not touching, or, you know, there's times I'm like, oh, I really like to touch them, but then I have to ask, is it for me? Or is it because they would like it? If it's just because of my neediness, then I'm like, maybe I should refrain from doing that. Yeah. So, okay. I don't know if I'll do another group here. I may consolidate some different groups. So if you guys are interested in any continuing on and anything, let me know. And again, the 4 questions are my proprietary method of doing it, which you can like tweak or do whatever, but they're really, really helpful. You know, I used to have a whole bunch more, and it's really like I keep trying to simplify down to this is the essence of all we need to do is this. And
You have one last question that just popped in my mind is like how I don't have the words for it. So for instance, one of the reasons why I haven't been doing as much training for people, I would prefer to help people do their own training, is because I feel I don't want to leave the horse vulnerable, right? So like if I get them to trust and I get them to open up, what I was finding is that then they might have what people are seeing as behaviors when really they're just trying to communicate but not being heard. So I was like, is there something I can communicate that would help set them up for success with others?
you know, that's the hardest one. I quit training for other people for that same reason, because it's like I could do all this nice stuff and they would have an expectation that other people would do that. And then not to be heard after you've been heard is maybe more devastating than to never have been heard. I don't know. So I'm really careful in the way that I do my work because I insist that the person that has the horse be with me the whole time. We're working through it in real time on their relationship until I can step out of that. But I don't do any, I may demo something for somebody. Here's how I would do it. But then it's like, you've got to do it now.
Right.
As you know, you could have that horse working perfectly for you, but you cannot possibly account for all of the human behavioral issues that are out there that impact a horse. And these unmet needs of people that they're trying to meet through their relationship with their horse. And then it's causing these really unhealthy relationships, essentially.
So then just want to clarify, because it sounds like we think the same way. Like I'll step in to model, whether it's to help the horse understand what's being asked or for the human to have that visual
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
let them do it themselves.
Yeah, because even, that horse that was that I did the story about that went to the jumping show, it's like
Mhm.
she could not have been doing what initially had to be done with him as far as boundaries and not getting, because she was into like, he does something and she reacts and spikes energy, feeds off it. So it's like, here, I'm going to take it just for a minute. You watch this process and you just go over there and breathe and watch it because I can't walk you through this in real time fast enough that it
Mhm.
would work. So I'm on board with you on that. There's times we have to step in and kind of do that thing in the modeling and let me show you how this works. But in the end, on the last day of the thing, we had 3 days. It's like 2 days I'm modeling stuff with him, and third day, you go do it. And she got to observe the 2 days and she was able to do it. So again, I'm going to turn it back over to them as soon as I feel like they can do it. And I'm also always evaluating what is their skill set? What can I teach them that's going to keep them safe and not exceed their skill set where they're starting to get anxious themselves and cannot be a good model for the horse. And that's a tricky one because it's like, okay, there's lots of things we could do, but I don't think you can do that
Mhm.
without getting anxious yourself. So
I think that's where like Michelle's a good example of like she knows when to give that space or when to step out.
yeah, yeah.
So
And
good job, Michelle.
yeah,
Yes. Okay. I try.
and even in this example of the video, it's like she couldn't have done the boundaries like I talk, a lot of times I do this and I say you can be in there with the horse and here we work on the boundary thing. It's like he can do anything and move anywhere except into your space during this. But we cannot correct him during this process because I'm asking him to be vulnerable, so I don't want to punish his answers, right?
Mm.
So she couldn't do that, so I have to get the barrier between her and him.
Mhm.
I usually let the horses go free during that thing, completely free.
Mhm.
But I couldn't let him do that because he's like, I'm just going to find other things to do and not pay attention to you. So it's almost like I have to put him in just a tad of a bind where we're going to talk about these things. You're going to be here. You have freedom to move around, but you don't have freedom to evade the questions that we're going to
Mhm.
ask here. And that's a tricky one because people get kind of freaked out. It's like, why would you do that? You should have him free. It's like, you don't understand. There's times when freedom is good. There's times when nothing's going to happen. So it's a call. And, if you've trained horses long enough, it's like, there are no absolutes. It's like,
Mhm.
I did this with this horse. I will do something different with the next one. The principles are the same, but how it looks may be way radically different. So, um, but
Thank you. That's helpful.
yeah, well, thank you for doing what you do. And, there's a plethora of clients, which is disheartening sometimes. It's like starting them out right, getting this, the training different and not creating trauma and braces and stress and everything else that you have to deal with later is ideal.
Definitely.
And in my lifetime, I don't know. So anyway,
Well, thank you for this, and I definitely look forward to if we can join it, or if you could consolidate groups.
yeah. All right. Sounds good. Well, thank you all for coming, and we'll see each other soon again, I hope.
Yes.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.